Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. But we're not playing Dragonbane this week or any game this week because of the holiday. So we thought we could squeeze in a hot take video because we are long overdue with this. Joey's been bugging me for a while. You guys also submitted some hot takes already. We have a total of 6 to go over. So this video might not be an hour and a half long, but you never know. So if you guys, we'd like to keep this going. So if you guys have additional hot takes, RPG hot takes, of course, related to the industry in any way, drop them down in the comments below. Or if you're on a Discord server, let us know there. So Joey, I will let you have the honor of beginning with the first hot take.
It's a good one for me too. The first hot take comes from GM Runs Game. And it says, death is part of the story. Embrace it. Don't fear it. Without consequences, stories are less compelling. Yeah, I don't really think that's a hot take. I agree with it.
Yeah, it's not a hot take.
Maybe a lot of people don't.
Yeah, we'll have to call out GM Runs Game actually ran Dragonbane for us. I can't remember how long ago it was. It was a few months ago. So fantastic GM. Go check him out. But yes, I agree. So death is part of the story. The one thing I will say here is I feel like a lot of people who are playing 5e, let's say, or playing more maybe like Pathfinder kind of games where it's heroic fantasy, death is often, I don't want to say completely out of reach, but it's more rare than other games. And so a lot of times people do get conditioned to that way of thinking. When they play something like Dragonbane or Shadow Dark or something a little more dangerous, Death in Space, Merkborg, they can't, their mind breaks when their character dies because that should never happen, you know?
In 5th edition, it's definitely, they get upset because, you know, their story with their character. But Pathfinder, especially Pathfinder, like, you know, original, even 2E, they're mad because they spent like 5 hours making their character.
That's
such a crunchy system.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's part of it too, is like you invest so much time creating the backstory, getting to know the character, and you think of it more like a, God, I don't even know how to articulate this, but it's less of a, you just get so attached. It's almost like a video game character in a way, where you think you're going to see this avatar, quote unquote, all the way till the end. Whereas role-playing games, you know, they have a much deeper level of sophistication in that regard, where death is real. It should be real. 100% agree with this. I don't really think it's a hot take. I can see how it can be in certain circles.
Yeah, it could be for certain people.
Yeah, people who want to play more for the story and less for a more realistic experience. But yeah, that's a good one. I really enjoy that one. Let us know in the comments. Do you think death is part of the story and you should embrace it and not fear it? Because I think we both
always do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll throw some...
I've only beaten maybe 2 video games my whole life because I apply it to that too. If I die in the game, I stop playing the game. I don't keep playing it. So I've only ever beaten Lego Star Wars because you can't die in that game for real. And Lego Indiana Jones. Same
really?
reason.
So you've really... Are you shitting
No.
me right now? I was gonna say, holy crap! You had me going there because with that straight face. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm really glad because I'm like, man, you missed out on a lot of games. If that's your philosophy. Okay, cool. Well, that is one down. I'll take the second one, and this one is from Viking Gamer. This is off our Discord server. He actually has 2 of them, but the first one is: most games have way too much rules. It works fine to just set a probability, round to closest 10, and roll a d10 to determine success. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How do you feel? We've played a lot of games, some more crunchy, some more rules light, like Karen, right? Super rules light,
right.
Very minimalistic. In fact, it encourages you to not really roll dice hardly ever. But what's your take on this? How do you feel about this?
I think this is a hot take. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think most games do have way too many rules. But I think, once you've played enough games, put enough hours in playing tabletop games, you have phases where you want a little more complication. And then you definitely have phases where I want something simple. I want to play Merkborg today, not, Pathfinder. Or if you want that balance in between, I'm playing Dragonbane most of the time, which is like what I do. I like that middle ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like for me, I find that when I play games like really rules like games like Karen or even Merkborg, I crave more detail.
Yeah.
And because we've talked about this plenty of times, rolling dice is fun. People love rolling dice. Yeah. So I understand the idea of having a very simplistic rule like round to the closest 10 and roll a d10 to determine success. But you kind of want more granularity or nuance when it comes to different character classes or professions, whatever you're calling them in your game, that separates, these classes from one another. Because, like, for instance, if you have a fighter trying to pick a lock, you're going to have to add another rule onto that, right? Because what is the probability of a fighter picking a lock versus a thief picking a lock? Thief should be better at it. Okay, now you got to add another rule. So it's less about, at that point, just a probability check. Unless he's insinuating that this is after the character sheet's created. I don't know. But anyway, it's all personal preference. I do find that when I play a lot of rules like games, like I said, in a row, I really am like, man, I really want to get back to something a little bit more crunch. Yeah. Granted, I'm trying to think of the last time I played a really crunchy game. And I can't think of a time. It's been a long, long time. Probably 5e is the crunchiest game I've played in, the last 10 years at least, I think. And that's not even particularly crazy crunchy either.
No, yeah, a lot of people roll their eyes if you say that. Like, even, I'm like thinking like of what's on my shelf, and I'm like, have I really played anything crunchy in a long time? No, I've kind of become like a little baby back bitch when it comes to gaming. I just don't have as much time to spend on it,
Well, crunch often like kills the flow, right? So, I mean, you could say 5e is not crunchy, but I guess it depends on how you define crunch, because a character could have bonus actions, a bunch of turns, and you're like spending like 10 minutes on one person's turn because they're stacking a bunch of garbage.
That's fair, yeah.
Then it like really breaks the flow of the game, and people are looking on their phones and doing other things. But when it comes to like calculating things like, what's the probability of hitting someone in the kneecap versus the forehead versus the arm versus the wrist, that
might be like Pendragon shit right there.
Yeah, that's a different kind of crunch for sure.
And 5e definitely does get crunchy. Like people who play 5e, because I played a shit ton of 5e. I like 5e. I'm not a 5th edition apologist or anything, but I still enjoy 5th edition.
That's fair.
But whenever I hear people who are like, we're level 10, if they're level 10 or higher and they're like, we're having a great time, I'm like, I'm glad you're having a great time, but there's no way in hell you're playing it like as intended. You're not playing it rules as written. That's for damn sure. If you're having a great time at 10 levels or higher, because that game kind of falls apart around that point. There's just no way you're running it rules as written.
Yeah, 100%. So you want to take his second hot take?
His second hot take is balancing character of different kinds, making them equally powerful, as well as advanced rules for how to create the character is unnecessary. Let the players choose based on the story/setting and who they want to play. Okay. So
this could be a hot take to certain people, certain players.
Yeah, they're basically, Viking gamers saying, min-max is bullshit. You don't need to do it to play the game.
Yep.
And I 100% agree with that. I have often played with min-maxers. And so I cater to them. And I've even had like two min-maxers, munchkins in the group. and like 4 other players who weren't, and I literally would like put an extra monster in the combat that like that's your fucking big monster to go fight and like show off, circle jerk each other over there with that. So like, and that works because they'll be very engaged with the role play, but they want to do the big number make brain go ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I let them do it, but they're not my favorite kind of players.
Yeah. Again, it's more of like someone who is treating it like a video game where it's all about the skill tree and what am I unlocking next and what's the most balanced or I don't know, best way to craft this character or this party in the case what he's talking about right here. I'm not a min-maxer whatsoever. I don't really like playing with min-maxers either that often, even though I have. It's because it goes beyond character creation. It turns into combat begins. Okay, let's strategize. What's the most efficient path? How are we going to do this? How are we going to approach it?
Yeah.
And it's really annoying because it takes the the spontaneity out of things because I always try to play character first. So what would the character do versus what would I do?
Right.
And when a bunch of ogres come out of the trees, you don't have time to sit there and sit around a table and strategize in real life. So I like to be, think on your feet, shout out orders or whatever it might be to try to figure out the strategy. So yeah, it's like it's a product of it all stems from the same thing. It gets worse and worse and worse. So it starts with balancing a party, then it moves into combat, then it moves into every little micromanaged detail of the game. And granted, hey, if you play that way, totally fine, go for it. But I think I don't know. It's just like people have different tastes, man. Some people love to strategize, and it's like when I played Magic the Gathering. I played it before people were making decks of different colors and stuff. Oh, here's my green deck. Here's my whatever deck. It's like, I just got the fucking starter deck and I'd play a game of Magic, like a deck of cards,
That's what they do now.
That's what they do now. Yeah. That's what I enjoy.
It's a joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cause when I think it was like a year or two after I stopped playing Magic, people were like building decks. I'm like, what the hell is this crap? Like, oh my God, get out of here, dude. Just take open the deck of cards and play. So definitely.
That's the fun part. That's the fun part.
What, building decks? So you're a min-maxer. Cut.
Well, no. See, all right, min-maxing in Magic is completely different. Like, I'm the kind of doofus that's like, oh, I want a deck that's made up of entirely squirrels. It's not going to be strong, but I like squirrels or I like goblins. I don't play the meta in Magic the Gathering. I sure as hell don't, because I can't even afford to. You know how much that costs?
Yeah, I know. That's another
more
thing.
Than I got.
It's crazy.
But yeah, I also think with Viking Gamers hot take here, it doesn't directly say it, but I think it's heavily implying that they don't like the min-maxers who pressure others to also be min-maxing. It doesn't outright say it, but I feel like it's heavily implied.
So if you guys, I guess my piece of advice would be use a lot of games we play have random tables. Use them. Embrace it. Yeah. Like don't roll whatever your class is, roll your traits, roll your, not just your stats and stuff, but everything. I love doing that because it makes me kind of have to think on my feet and be creative about the character and not even worry about, is it balanced or not? So, but then the next one is
be doing I was going to say real quick, I'm going to have to do so much PR recovery after you told all the Magic players that they're terrible because they make their own decks.
Yeah. You heard it here first, guys.
That's a hot take
I'm looking at you guys, you min-max Magic players. God damn it. All right, moving on. We got the Solo Society. He commented, these people who rail against railroading, in quotes, need to get out of here with that. Linear adventures can be a great time. 100% agree. So I played a game. Yeah, linear stuff can be fun.
Society.
Yeah, he's great. So the most linear adventure I've played recently was with Frontier Scum. It's a Western RPG, well, like a acid Western RPG. If you guys are unfamiliar with it, by Carl Druid. We have an actual play on our site here, on our channel here, if you want to check it out. But it was called You Played on a Railroad. So it was total tongue in cheek. It was called the Oregon Rail, I think. Yeah, the Oregon Rail, play on Oregon Trail, of course, where you started as prisoners at the back of the train, a la Snowpiercer, and then had to move your way to the front of the train where you would confront, the adversary, or, what. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys if you haven't played it. But yeah, it was a total railroad. You could not, you could get on top of the train, you could go through the train, maybe get under the train, but you could not take an alternate route. So I love that he made it super linear, and I got so much feedback from the players on that, how much fun it was, because I think sometimes, especially with new games, players, they're like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. Right. What's my motivation? It's like simple motivation. You know exactly what you got to do. You got to keep moving forward. Hopefully escape is at the very front of the train. And yeah, I love it. I really love railroad adventures too. So what about you?
I absolutely fucking love railroaded adventures because, again, it goes with time. I don't have time to, dick around in a big sandbox every game I play. I love sandbox play, but I'll pick a more grounded railroaded, in quotes, railroaded adventure any day. And then for when I run Conan, it's gonna be what people would probably consider more railroaded, but Conan's perfect for that kind of thing because that's what Conan, Conan are short, they're like not even novellas, they're shorter than that. They're like short stories or comics, if you read the comics, and you just get a dose of Conan and that kind of thing. I don't want to leave it too open-ended because the whole point of a game like Conan is action, adventure, and peril. And I want it to be like a fast-paced adventure. And you don't get fast-paced adventures if you just ask, so what do you do?
Right.
So I agree with Solo Society. I think people who are against railroading don't really understand what railroading actually is. I think they forget about the and it's funny because it'll be the same people who will be like, repeating endlessly social contract. Well, don't you know that in some games the social contract is you're going to follow the hook that's in the adventure and just play the adventure like as the GM intends.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes that's the case. And if you have a GM, especially a new one, if you're new to running games, if you are a player and you know the GM or DM is new, don't be a dick. And sorry. And try to spin them off and be like, that's railroading. They need to learn that way. They're not going to learn how to be a better GM unless, they get a taste of what running an adventure is like. Yeah. So, yeah, I think railroading's fine.
Yeah, I think with railroading too, it's like the constraints of it are really what make it focused, and it's always moving forward. Because typically when you don't give enough to the players and they have to kind of carve their own path in the world, like a sandbox game, you have a lot of just sitting around doing nothing, trying to figure stuff out. Which way do I go? Which is the best way to go? You start overanalyzing the entire situation. Granted, I think it comes down to play style. So to me, this kind of fits into the category of, you're not a storyteller as a game master. You know, that philosophy where people are like, hey, you're not a storyteller. This isn't a story. The story is designed by the players. It's like, sure. But also I think Conan's a great example of where a railroad game shines because
Yeah.
you're hired by the Baron of whatever to go to this temple of Set and get the jewel from the eye. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And you're in a temple and you have to fight your way to the top, and that's it. That could be a hell of a lot of fun because it's going to give you a different. It's going to give you a different game dynamic. I guess it's. I guess it's a little more board gamey in that regard. But
Yeah.
if you have never played a railroaded game or run a railroaded game, I highly recommend you do it because you're going to see how much quicker it goes, and how much more excitement is going to happen. Also because it also depends on how you look at how you describe railroading, because a lot of times, like I've played games that I don't think were intended to be railroady, and then they ended up doing it. So for instance, if I came up with a solution, well, not a solution, but a potential alternative to whatever the GM was thinking I should do to get past obstacle X, then I'd get immediately shot down. So there'd be no chance for a roll, no justification on his part as to why it wouldn't work. Just like, nope, you can't do that. I think that's a bad way to railroad, because you want the players to feel like they have agency. So it's less about taking their choices away, and it's more about it's like the train, it's the Oregon Rail. It's like, instead of a branching dungeon, you have like one corridor full of traps or monsters. It's kind of like in its most simplest form. I think that's what it is. And so it's less about how the players are going to get from A to B to C. And it's more about like, they don't have a lot of options to do that. Right. It's like your goal is to do this, and you set out and you try to do it, and that's it. So yeah, I love Railroad Adventures. I can see how this can be a very hot take though, because especially in modern RPG talks where there's just this massive push, and I think it's a pushback against 5e. Their campaign books are very linear and railroady. And so I think a lot of it is coming from that hatred toward that design, which I understand, but also I think there's a right way to do it. So that's my piece.
I mean, I also think that people, like I said earlier, I think people they have a misconception of what railroading is, and like what just being a shitty DM is. Because, like you said, if or a good analogy I'd like to use is, if you're on a railroad track and you're riding on a train, you're going through like mountains and forests and stuff, like the train trip I took to the West Coast. It was nice. If you're on a train track and you're just in a subway, shitty. Like, just don't be a shitty subway train ride. Be a nice, scenic, breathtaking, enjoyable train ride. I think people who put a stop to players' ideas, that's worse than railroading. That's blowing up the railroad. Like, you're not even, I don't know. I just feel,
I think it comes down to,
should just go away. Well, I think it's a terrible term.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think really it's the term. I think there's different ways to, whatever your take is on that term could be different than someone else's, right? So I just Googled it really quick. And so one is defined as negating player agency, which I think is a bad thing, of course.
Yeah, that's
but that could be decided as railroading. Illusion of choice. So the GM might offer choices that all lead to the exact same results, sometimes called the magician's choice, making player decisions feel meaningless. So to me, that's a little more, I think, my definition of railroad, in a way where, you may feel like you have your decisions are making an impact, but really the end result is going to be the same regardless. Invulnerable NPCs. So, of course, players that NPCs that can't die. Scripted outcomes, of course. So, I've definitely played in games with scripted outcomes. I'll tell you that right now. Where you can almost see the GM's brain glitch when you do something that they don't expect, right? because
Right.
often when you play with people long enough, especially GMs, they're crafting the story along with you of who this character is, and they think they know your character, even though they may not, and you have an idea about your character. And so in that case, a decision a character might make might short circuit a GM in such a way to where they, I don't know. So when you're playing a game and you know somebody for a long time and you play with them for a long time, you can often see, you can like see what they want to do in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go against that, you know, they don't like it very much. But anyway, that's a long discussion on railroading. I think it comes down to, definitionally, people have different definitions of it, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. But the next one is from Sanroll. This is from is this Discord or is this our YouTube? Discord. His hot take is battle maps are overrated. I can see the appeal of having visual reference and the granularity of movement, but I think they favor railroading. There it is. There's the term again, which anyway, we'll get into it. I'll get into it when I stop. But railroading to scenarios one has already prepared. Theater of the mind done well with a system that supports it makes the GM less restricted and more able to follow their players' shenanigans, including institute shenanigans like throwing a bottle while in the pub. If there's no bottle pick in the map, the players are less likely to just say there is. While in Theater of the Mind, every player can make use of what they picture in their own minds. So I agree with this. I love battle maps first and foremost, but I think a lot of it's because we play online. So we play people watcher stuff. I'm less inclined to use them around the table unless I find it. Battle maps for me around the table are often like graph paper and pencil marks and shit, and like minis maybe, or just dice to represent stuff. So I agree with him in that they're overrated in a sense that with inexperienced players, you're only going to think you can do what's on the image, right? The people think the image is the end all be all of what you can and cannot do. And I understand it because we look at this thing, we're trying to put our mind in the fiction, and we see rocks and trees and we assume like, okay, this is where this only rock is, or this tree is, or there's a bottle in the pub, or whatever it is, which doesn't have to be the case. And honestly, this really, to me, extends to the character sheet, because a lot of people think they can only do what's written on the character sheet. And so it becomes a prison in that regard. So yeah, I agree with it. I'd say my only counterpoint to that is sometimes theater of the mind, it's just too much for me as a GM to track. When we have 4 or 5 players, a bunch of enemies, I'm thinking about narrating the scenario, what the enemies are going to do. And on top of that, I got to keep track that, you know, Gwydion is behind the bush over here, Dagwood's over here. It becomes too much mental space for me, you know, to run the fly. In which case, you know, it's a paper and a pencil. So what about you? Well, the game store, what do you do? When you play in person at the game store, what do you do?
I do a mix of both.
Okay.
I do a mix of both. So, and then there's some games where I only do Theater of the Mind, and some games where I do. Actually, no. I either do Theater of the Mind completely, or I do a mix of maps and Theater of the Mind, because sometimes my players get into situations that I didn't know they were going to pull a sword out, you know? So I'll have like miniatures and maps drawn out that I'm more or less like, they might do this here. But for any of them that they don't, you know, we just kind of do a Theater of the Mind in that case, because usually it is a small skirmish of some kind. It's not some major battle or a boss fight or anything like that. I do prefer Theater of the Mind over maps, though, as well. And I think I only prefer it because that's just how I always did it. When I started running 5th edition D&D. Now, the very first time, you know, I've talked about it before, the first time we even were playing tabletop role playing games. We used the battle map. We used the chessboard because we were mimicking Final Fantasy Tactics, basically. And it's like, oh, it's a grid based combat. Even though we're not allowed to touch the PlayStation 1 for the rest of the summer, we can still play Final Fantasy Tactics just on paper and on this chessboard. It's basically what we did. But when I got into playing D&D, what was it called? D&D Next? I think that was the playtest for 5th edition. I just did Theater of the Mind, and my group enjoyed it a lot. And so we just kind of stuck with that for a long time. I actually didn't use miniatures and maps until I ran at the game store, because other people were like, I really need a map. And I'm like, what are you dumb? Like, all right, okay. I just wasn't, it didn't even cross my mind. It's like, you can't just this is an imagination game. I wasn't openly like that, but I'll admit, in my mind, I was kind of a prick. I'm like, God, you guys, why does everybody need a map and miniatures for everything? Like, you can't just think about it. And there are people who can't. There are some people who just can't. Some people who don't want to bother with it, reasonably so. And then some people who, just, they've invested in miniatures and they want to use them. I don't blame them. I'm one of those fucking people.
I think so to speak of my own experience, or recent experience, the Chasm of Caves combat you guys just ran into. How in the hell would you even do that as Theater of the Mind? I have no idea. Now, granted, the only way I guess I could think about doing it is if you're not being specific or very tactical, because I think that, a battle map allows you to be tactical. Theater of the Mind is like, you have to kind of sacrifice some of that nuance, because if you're in a crazy detailed cave network with hobgoblins surrounding you, tracking where everybody is, it seems kind of like a mess to do that Theater of the Mind, for me personally. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a very visual person. Granted, there's nothing I love more than playing a game and just imagining every little bit of it as the GM describes it. But I also think that battle maps being overrated, you better be a fucking very good GM. You better describe everything the players can see in exquisite detail, because let's say you're not. Let's say you say, okay, you walk into a cave, it's dark, and you're like, and a goblin jumps out, and you're like, all right, I swing my sword. Oh, you can't because the ceiling's too low. You start, well, can I do this? Oh, no, you can't. There's none of this. Oh, can I do it? So then it turns into kind of like you're describing the environment in more detail than you thought you needed to do,
right,
to be realistic. And then it's just kind of like, it starts feeling like you're an adversary to the player, even though you're probably not. You're like, oh shit, I just forgot to describe the situation in detail. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm mixed. Like games like 10 Candles don't need. Of course, you don't need a battle map. It's all narrative. Even in Coriolis the Great Dark, I used a Theater of the Mind pieces of artwork because I thought that was beneficial, but there was no map. And then I think when you go into Delve, there was kind of a rough map, but that was it. There was no battle map, so to speak. So it really depends on the game. I like with Dragonbane, I feel like it's best to probably have one because there are so many rules that are tactical in nature. Like, oh, you have to be within melee. Oh, this is a long weapon. You're a square away versus right up there. So there's a lot of things. You totally could though, but I don't know. To me, it's sort of like, it just depends. I can understand his point though, how they're overrated, but also in my experience anyway, there's been lots of situations where running something Theater of the Mind would have been like a nightmare and not probably confusing, not fun for anybody. So Sandroll or whoever's watching, listening to this, if you guys have any great articles or videos on advising how to run complex combat situations in Theater of the Mind, please send them my way because I'm always looking for new, approaches to running games. So
you want to know how I did it?
How'd you do it?
Fucking Notebook. So like, not the movie The Notebook, by the way. I have my Notebook as a theater. Yeah, The Notebook really helped me run Theater of the Mind. No, like, if I had a player who was like, I want to move, I'll describe what's going on. I'm like, there's a turnover carriage. And the elf said, I moved to the, behind the carriage to take cover, only to shoot out, to peek out and shoot my bow and take cover again. There I am, 2014, jotting that down. All right, elf is behind the cart. And so that way, when it becomes their turn again, I would have pages and pages of all these fucking notes.
That's what I'm saying. Like at that point, it becomes worse than battle maps because you as the GM have to like create a Dear Diary about every little person's position,
I could not imagine. I don't imagine many people would enjoy that as a DM, but I'm one of the weirdos that kind of did, because not only did it make me better at keeping Theater of the Mind combat comprehensive instead of just chaos, it also made me a better GM because I was taking better notes than the players were. And this, like right now, if I run Dragonbane on the channel, I can just go back and re-listen to Dragonbane and know what happened. But at normal games, I wasn't doing that. But I could go back to my notes because I took a lot of notes as a GM, and I was still only half. Like I was only half as good of a GM as say like someone who's been doing it for a long time. And that was putting in extra work. I'm not really actually all that good of a game master. I'll be honest. That's a whole. I could talk for 5 hours about how shitty of a DM I am, but for talking about the channel in particular, I think I'm willing to bet that more people just listen than they actually watch. I think people who are people who often comment on the channel and like interact with us, I think they watch the gameplay. But I think most of our viewers, I think they just probably listen to us. Probably they don't even watch the gameplay. I'll bet.
Yeah,
at least
that's a good question. Like, let us know. Do you guys watch our videos or just listen to them on YouTube or the podcast? I'd be curious to know. I would say, regardless of that, I agree. Like, even if they're not watching, it helps me track what the hell's going on. And I'm guessing the players too, but I can 100% see the downsides with it because it does feel like a prison. It does feel like you can only do what's on the map, even though there should be more, ability to do, do other things. So yeah, it's a good one, Sandrol, clearly because we've been talking about it a while. And it's something I often think about when running games is, do I need a map? Do I not? Sometimes, because again, I'm a very visual person. I like visual aids, not because I have a terrible imagination, but just because I like visuals. And I don't know. It helps me. It helps me immerse myself into the scene, and also it's the same reason why I have music playing. It's just like I'm a very It's also why I rail on RPG books that have terrible presentation, because I'm about presentation. I like making the overlays. I like the music. I like the battle maps. I like creating kind of to my best ability to create like an interesting experience for people to watch or listen to, versus like a really shitty, just 4-box screen setup with nothing. Like, I mean, a lot of channels do that and that's fine, but I don't know. I have a good time doing all that. So that's part of the reason why I do it. But all right. Anyway, sorry for the long tangent on that one. We got one left, Joey. Do you want to take it?
Yes. System. This one's from Walt. Probably not Disney.
I hope not.
But this one says, scary. System doesn't matter. Group goals do. You know what I think about that? Walt. What do you mean?
Walter. Mr. White.
Walter. System doesn't matter. Group goals do. I think both of those are true, but I'm not necessarily. I think my brain's misfiring. I'm not sure how these are connected though. I don't know what they mean by that. What do you think they mean by that? You're smart.
I think, well, I agree with you in that they seem kind of disconnected. My guess is that I think he's, and I'm not, I don't mean this to like, tear your comment apart, but it feels like, and correct this again, like, please elaborate if we're not taking this right, but a lot of people, I feel like, get so tied up on what the system is. Like I've played with people where they're like, oh, this rule sucks, or I don't like this philosophy on X, Y, and Z, where a lot of people get tied up in that. And I think he might be saying that, this is my take anyway, could be wrong. I'm thinking he's saying like people get hung up on systems so much that they forget what the heart of what a role-playing game is, I guess, which is acting as a group, creating goals, in that regard, being collaborative. But I could be completely off base here.
It could be that. Maybe it's a really confusing way, and I'm just teasing you all. But maybe it's a really confusing ass way to say rule of cool should happen sometimes. What if they mean the rules don't always matter, what the group's trying to do? Like if the group's trying to do what they need to do, but not necessarily in a way that the system should allow it, bend a little to let it happen anyway, because it is supposed to be what they're doing. Like if they're supposed to get the mage's key, and the way they thought of doing it isn't exactly something that the system is like going to support that they do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe every once in a while you just like, okay, yeah, that's creative. I'll make up a bullshit roll. Or actually, no, don't do that, because if they never put anything they need behind a roll that you don't need to make, especially if they need it, if they just thought of a clever way of doing it or a unique way of doing it, that's their goal, and okay, they're going to accomplish their goal to a degree, unless there's danger and peril around it. I don't know. Well, you got to come back, Walt, and add some more to this one for us.
Yeah,
I'm not a grammar guy, but I need more context than what we've got here.
Yeah, the more you talk about it, like I maybe he doesn't mean the game system, but like more of a system of approaching things in the game, if that makes sense.
Maybe
like a method.
Maybe he means immune system. Like I don't give a shit that your stomach hurts. We need to fucking finish this game.
There you go.
I don't know.
That's why I dragged Joe into this video. You can clearly tell he's sick, and I said, "Listen, motherfucker. We got to make this video. We got to make this video."
Like, I'm sniffing everywhere over here a little bit.
No.
System doesn't matter. Group goals do.
I know. We should have had him clarify that on the Discord server. Oh, well. Walt, now's your chance if you're watching this.
Well, you get to be in video 3.
Yeah, you'll keep going. Those are all of the hot takes. I know we briefly talked about if you have any hot takes that come to mind. Joey's dying over here.
I forgot to mute my mic on that one.
That's the sign. That's a sign. It's time to shut the show down. No, but I was going to say, I know last time we talked about if you or I have a hot take we wanted to kind of close the show with, we could do so.
What's yours?
I failed to think of one. But if you,
what?
I know. Well, okay. Here's one. This might sound offensive, and I might have totally. So it's, man, I don't know. This might be rude to say, but this goes back to me being a freak about presentation. So if you are an RPG creator and you can't draw, don't put your drawings in the fucking book. Hire a goddamn artist, and I'm not going to pick on the little guys. I'm going to pick on one of the bigger guys, and that is Mothership. Okay. The Mothership RPG has some of the worst fucking artwork I've ever seen in a book. The cover. Hey, I have the t-shirt. I got 2 Mothership t-shirts. I backed the Uber guide. So this cover is pretty cool. Okay.
You're attacking my baby?
No. Go open the box and take out the book, the main book. The guy, what's his face? Sean, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the guy who co-created it. And his artwork is on the cover of it. And yes, this is absolute garbage. Trash, garbage. Stop it out there. That's my hot take. I can't stand it. Nothing takes me more out of a game than shitty artwork. And I see it time and time and time again. Anyway, I think that's why I really love Free League stuff, because their presentation most of the time.
What?
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
You don't like that?
No, I don't like that. That's like a butt crap. That's like a butt crack all the way up to the top of your back, dude. That's like a serious crackback. That's not scary. That's not evocative. That just tells me you can't draw for shit. And but you said, you know what? I don't care, or I can't. I think I can draw well. I'm gonna put it in here. So yeah, that's I think one of the reasons that because again, I own the big box set that Joey has too, but every time I crack that book open, man, it's the least inspiring fucking thing I've ever seen. So I have not yet played it. I hope the game is great. Maybe Joey will run it for us sometime.
Yeah, I'll run it for you. I'll just make sure I blur out any artwork. The game is good. The game has its flaws, just like any game does. But it's good. It's a good game. I love it.
Yeah.
I've run it a couple times. I'm not gonna do all that. So what do I think of your hot take, huh?
You can either respond to my hot take, or you can make up your own, or do both. Whatever you want to do.
No, I agree. I feel like if there's artwork that is not particularly good, I mean, just as a business decision, you don't want to put it in the book. I am, however, like a slut for what most people would call shitty artwork. I don't know why. Maybe it's because my artwork is shitty, but I actually tend to enjoy if it looks like it would be slapped on the front of a CD of an album that never sold, of a genre that nobody likes, like ska. I like that kind of art. I don't know why. I don't like it too much though. Like I won't say it's good. I know it's bad, but I like bad artwork. There's something charming about it.
You know what I'm going to do?
Freak.
I'm going to do something right now that's going to be even more controversial, but it's going to be a piece of advice. It's going to be a piece of advice for artists out there who maybe aren't masterful with their drawing or painting ability. Is that Johan Noor, famous artist on Merkboard, he can't draw. Okay? I'm going to say it right here, right now. But what he does, he's gotten a lot better. But I mean, if you look at some of his artwork, it leaves a lot to be desired. It looks very amateurish, very rudimentary. But again, the way he makes it work is with his graphic design, right? He adds a lot of textural detail to it. He adds a lot of cool stylings to it. There's splatters, there's two-tone color work, stuff like that. But like this guy right here, that looks like a kindergarten drew it, dude. Kindergartner. But what
kindergartner.
Well, what I'm saying is without the graphic design sentiment. So he's a graphic designer by trade. So he added a lot of cool color stuff. He had a lot of negative space detail, things like that. That makes it work. Okay. But if you were to just have this on a piece of paper, like a pencil, you'd be like, what elementary school kid drew this? Because that's what it looks like to me. But I love Merkborg. I love Johan's work, but I'm not going to lie and say that he's a fantastic artist like Johan Egerkrans or Martin Grip or What are some other classical guys who've done some awesome RPG stuff that I'm not thinking of right now? Simon
Larry Elmore.
Stollenhog. Yeah, Larry Elmore, like Jeff Easley. You can make it work. Clearly he does. And granted, I've been following his work closely. I have his big art book as well. He's improved dramatically when it comes to anatomy, proportion, perspective, all of those things. So he's getting quite a bit better. But
I think the thing you're talking about that he does really well, I think artists call that composition.
Yes, composition. Exactly. So he took this book and made it like a design mess in the best possible way. Used bold colors, huge type. He gave it style, is what I'm saying. So if you can't draw, this is going to get more hate as well. But again, another book I love is the Vermis book. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Again, if you strip down those pieces of artwork to be like just pencil drawings, they leave a lot to be desired. But what he does is he adds so much style and design to it that it creates its own like flair, And so it, again, not talking shit about these guys. I'm just saying what is what. I love both these guys. They're both their work, but anyway, yeah, I feel like his graphic design tendencies really put him over the top and didn't make it look shitty, which is great. So now that we've lost all of the subscribers, do you have a hot take?
Holy shit. Yeah, you want me to get rid of the last 3 we've got? Let me see. I think I could do it. Well, shit.
I knocked the wind out of you.
Screw you, Jason, because I didn't have one.
Joey's going to quit the channel.
And I only asked you so that it would give me time to think of one, but I was actually listening to you and compelled by your hot takes. And now I wasted all of my time that I thought I bought to think of one. Man, I don't know. What's a hot take of mine that's tabletop role-playing game related? I think it's something that I believe too, because I don't want to give a hot take that I like just read, and I would think, oh, that would be a good hot take. I
hear the Jeopardy theme music right now.
What's a good hot take to really get us canceled? I think, because yours was good. That's a hell of a hot take.
I probably took it farther than I should have, but I felt like I needed to get it off my chest.
A thing with your hot take is I don't see it the same way as you, but I don't disagree with you though either. Like I said, I understand the concept or the difference between good art and what is bad art. Mm-hmm. I would love to live in a Bob Ross, Mr. Rogers world where everyone was just kind about shit like that, but we don't live in that world. And it's good that we don't live in that world because we wouldn't get really good things without challenges. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I also don't want people to think that like I want all art to be like Jeff Easley or Elmore or Keith Parkinson or any of those guys, Tony DiGiuseppe, like the old school. Like I love Johan stuff. To me, it really.
I wouldn't mind if everybody's art was like Tony DiGiuseppe.
But it breathed new life into the genre. It showed people what RPGs can do, from a layout standpoint and an artistic standpoint. So I think his stuff's amazing. But there is a way, again, I think what he did is he took his skill as a designer and used it to, I don't want to say cover up, but or hide, but for lack of a better word, let's use that, his limitations when it comes to the traditional art form, right? Mm-hmm. Drawing with proportion and anatomy and perspective and shading and all that. Yeah. And he really, he made it work. And I think it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It is it's very cool the way he did that. Because yeah, when I first flipped through Morkborg for the first time, it was kind of really interesting because like part of me was like, oh my god, this design is fucking awful but amazing at the same time, which is I can't think of anything off the top of my head that made me think that. And I'm not like a design major or anything, but that's how good that book did it. Where like you could be a casual like me and be like, this is amazing and horrifying at the same time. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to read some of this? But also, I really like the way it looks. It was weird. Morkborg made my brain feel weird the first few times I flipped through it. So yeah, I love that book. It's my favorite book, probably. But for my hot take, I think I'm gonna have to go with it's okay. And this is one I do believe in. Because this is one that I struggled with in the past a few times myself. I think it should be okay for I think people need to feel comfortable. You need to get comfortable with telling people to either A, not come back to your game because they don't mesh well with the game. And I think you need to be able to fuck, now I lost my train of thought. Damn it, now I lost my train of
thought. You got to phrase it in a more like abrasive way. So like, why would you tell someone not get better at leaving the table, but like the hot take would be something like fuck, I don't know, like tell people to get to fuck off.
Fuck off. No, yeah, I think DMs should. I think if you're becoming a GM or a DM, or you already have been one, and you seem to have trouble players, get comfortable with telling trouble players to fuck off, and just don't waste your time on them. Don't try to fix them. Just if everyone else is having a good time and there's one person who's making it not that way, just tell that person to fuck off. Just give them the message. I don't care if they're your friend. I don't care if it's your mom. Just fuck off.
Have you ever told your mom in a game you ran with her in it to fuck off?
No, but she's called me a little bitch before. Yeah.
That's the best. That's the
She's
best.
done that. Sometimes I act like a little bitch, and she'll let me know. You want to be a little bitch?
Hey, you admit it. Yeah, I mean, luckily I've never played any games where I've had to ask people to leave. I'm very grateful for that everybody seems to want to have a good time and respect everybody's time. But yeah, I mean, I agree. It can be tough. A lot of people who are playing role-playing games are not as outgoing, you might say, or they're non-confrontational. And so it can be difficult a lot because, a lot of us who play these kind of games, we're a bunch of nerds who read fantasy novels and play video games. And this is like our way to kind of get out of our shell a little bit. And so I can understand how there'd be a lot of people who may not understand or how to approach a situation like that. I think that's the most trickiest thing is like, how do you go about telling them to F off,
And as sometimes as it needs to be as critical and brutal as possible. So like, I'm not going to go into super detail because we'd be here forever, but there's been plenty of times where I've had a player that I should have told fuck off and I didn't, but there was 2 times where I did. Like one time I just fucked off myself, if that makes sense. I was running a game. Everyone was having a good time. Yeah. Everyone was having a great time. And then this player was just being awful. I don't even remember why, but I remember just like scooping all the miniatures to the center, just putting them in my bag. And I just said, fuck this, I'm out. Rolled the map, just picked up my shit and left.
Maybe that's your hot take. You know, sometimes you just got to walk away. You got.
And I got an apology text much later, like a couple hours later. I did, and I was like, "I'm sorry too. I felt bad for everyone else that was there, but it was like, I wish I could remember it. I was pissed. I remember I was really pissed. And then I had one time where there was a player at the game store who, after the session was over, I was like, dude, I went outside when he was leaving. I went outside, like, don't come back to my table. Just fucking don't. I remember he said something really, really terrible to one of the girls that was like a usual at the game. Like, it was really gross what he said. Like, why the fuck would you? Why? That was the only time that's the only time I ever told somebody at the game store, don't ever come back to the table. So, and then the other time I actually snapped it. I fucked off. I'm like, fuck this. I'm out of here. And I think people need to do it more, because it's like, you put a lot of time into into this hobby, especially if you're the GM. I mean, I'm not saying players are shitty or anything, but a GM definitely puts in, I just have to think about what I got to do. That's it as a player. But as a GM, I got to think about what everybody might do, what they are doing, what the NPCs are going to do. Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's putting up interesting conflicts, putting all those things out there. Like, yeah, it's a lot on the GM for sure. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where we're going with that, but yeah, it's I don't know if your hot take is a very hot take. I think that's pretty reasonable.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, like ask a problematic player to leave or leave yourself, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. Feel free to, yeah. People should just feel free to do that. All right, here's a mini hot take. This hot take in particular goes out to what's that? You know what? Fuck it. I'll save it for the next video.
You lost it.
This one I'll think about more thoroughly.
Okay, so next time.
Great.
Yeah, I it's something, I think I briefly touched on it last time, but I think it was more around presentation than specifically art, even though artwork is part of presentation. But yeah, it's just something that really frustrates me. Again, I don't really. It's weird because a lot of times I'll see books that will have like an amazing cover or a shitty cover, and then amazing artwork on the inside. And you're like, why didn't you just hire the guy or the girl to do everything or whatever? You know, I don't know. But yeah, we'll save that to we'll save that for the next one. But yeah, so if you've watched all the way to the end, please drop in your TTRPG hot takes in the comments below, and we'll keep this thing going until you guys are just tired of listening or watching these things. And we'll try to get the next one out sooner. I think this is probably a good amount. I mean, geez, we've been going about an hour, and we only covered 6, 7 if you count mine, 7.5 if you count yours.
You hear that? You hear that? 7.5. He said my hot take was a bitch hot take. It wasn't even worth a full point.
I'm glad you got that. I'm just fucking with you, man. No, it's fine. Yeah, so we will see you guys in the next video. Have a great holiday. And yeah, see you guys next time.